now we're doing this the big fight scene. Okay, Frank Dukes says to me, he goes, Dwight, you want to make more money? I go, yeah. He goes, okay, let Mark kick you in the head, fall down. So I went
Because now you're
from
a stunt performer. Is that what he's
now I'm a
saying?
stunt performer. I
Okay.
went from $75. I went from $6.50 an hour, right, to I think it was like $450
Oh yeah.
because I got kicked in the head.
Welcome back to FURYCAST. But first, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and of course, smash the bell for notifications. We have the one and only Mr. Dwight D. Woods. How are you doing, Dwight?
I'm good. How are you, Derrick?
You're all over. If you were into Jeet Kune-Do like I am, you're the man. You're everywhere. It's hard to miss you.
um, well, yeah, I guess, but it wasn't by design, you know.
Mhm.
A few years ago, Steven Crowder pissed me off when he did this thing on Bruce Lee and essentially said Bruce Lee was weak as a kitten. And I'm like, why is Steven Crowder doing this? I theorized later it was for the clicks and the likes to build momentum and get eyes onto his channel,
Mhm.
right? But I actually ended up, this is like 6 years ago, I think. I did what I guess would be called today a response video,
Mhm.
right? And it's just because, Derrick, I found out, oh, there's a button on your phone called Facebook Live.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I hit it. I hit it, and the next thing you know, I'm like, oh, I could do this every week.
Yeah, and you
Yeah.
have been since, right? Well, before we get down that road a little bit, for those that aren't familiar with you, could you take 2 minutes and let them know who you are and what you do?
Well, like you said, I guess I'm best known as a Jeet Kune-Do practitioner. My teacher is Dan Inosanto. I've been with him since 1983. I'm based out of Miami. I used to have what we call the big school. I ran the big school for 25 years or so and stopped doing that about almost 10 years ago. So now I have a select group of private clients, and then I have a small group class that meets twice a week. Well, actually, no, we meet 4 times a week, come to think of it, right? But yeah, so Jeet Kune-Do is what I guess I'm primarily known for. I mean, I did give myself the moniker the Jeet Kune-Do Rebel, so that might be it.
And so take me back to your when you first started training. Why did you start training martial arts? How'd that go down?
Um, Well, I wish I had a story about being bullied and what have you, but to a certain degree, it was actually the other way around. Like I was the one who picked the fights and got into trouble at school and what have you. But really, in all seriousness, I just fell in love with kung fu films.
Mhm.
Okay. I'm of the generation that grew up with Wong Yu and Chinese the one-armed swordsman and that stuff. And I watched all that stuff until 71 when Bruce Lee appeared in Big Boss
Where were
and
you living at this time?
Barbados.
Barbados.
Yeah,
Okay.
down in Ireland. Yeah. And I immediately recognized that Bruce Lee's fighting style, his cinematic style, was very different from what everybody else had been doing, which is, you fight like 15 guys and they just keep coming at you because no matter how much you hit them, they get back up and they and are reinserted into the fight scene. With Bruce Lee, when he hit one of the 15 guys, that guy stayed down. So I literally sat up in my chair. I've said this many times before. And that's when I started paying attention to Bruce Lee. Fast forward 12 years, and I decide that I'm going to trek from Barbados to California to meet Dan Inosanto. and spend 2 weeks training with him
And tell the
and
good
with,
people who Dan Inosanto is. Who,
okay,
I
so
can't imagine. I can't imagine anyone doesn't know. But go ahead.
okay, so for the good people, Dan Inosanto, I would say, is probably to this day still best known as Bruce Lee's premier disciple.
Mhm.
He was the guy when Bruce Lee closed the Los Angeles Chinatown branch of the Junfan Kung Fu Institute. He told Inosanto, okay, take the most dedicated people to your backyard, train them there. Bruce Lee went off to Hong Kong to do the movies, brought Inosanto to Hong Kong in 72, I think it was, to play the role of Escrimador in Game of Death. So if anybody's familiar with Game of Death, the guy wearing the red headband and doing the double stick, the long stick and short stick, and the nunchaku battles with Bruce Lee, that's his student, my teacher, Dan Inosanto.
He was also in the Seagal film Out for Justice, right? He played Styx.
He was Styx in Out for Justice. He was unnamed, but appeared for, I timed it, it's about 3 seconds in Big Trouble in Little China.
Really, I've never noticed. Tell me where.
Yeah,
I watch Big
it's,
Trouble twice a year.
oh, okay, so it's when they go into the warehouse, I think, with the elevator and what have you.
Mhm.
It's the scene where Kurt Russell's Uzi gets jammed, or not jammed, but somebody says safety,
Mhm.
and then it just goes off. The guy with the shotgun, the guy that comes into frame, gets one shot off with the shotgun is Dan Inosanto, and then he gets
Really?
clipped. Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
gonna have okay.
Oh, watch it.
I gotta watch
Watching,
it.
yeah, watch it. So for somebody like me, um, I was never a California native, but I spent a lot of time in LA, training at his school. In fact, my good friend and training partner, Ron Goldstein, and I were talking about this the other day, because we're heading out to Tulsa in 2 days to train with Inosanto at his Oklahoma seminar. And I was telling Ron about the Thursday morning class at the Inosanto Academy. I used to call it the Hollywood class, because I'd recognize, oh, that guy was in well, not Big Trouble in Little China, although just about everybody who was who in LA martial arts, right? Chinese martial arts is featured in Big Trouble in Little China, as you well know, right? Jeff Amada is in there, Nathan Jung from the Inosanto Academy. Jeff Amada is in there, Nathan Jung's in there. Who else that was up and coming?
Well, the next generation was Chad Stahelski, Eric Paulson.
Yeah, Burton Richardson.
Mhm.
And then, do you know there's a generation after them?
Like current
Yes.
or like
Yeah, so dig this, right? So Jeff Imada, a lot of people will be familiar with him, best known for his work with Matt Damon in the Bourne series,
Mhm.
also known for his work with Denzel Washington in Book of Eli, and other things, right?
he's a
I mean,
very, very successful like stunt coordinator, right?
oh yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Jeff is top
And
notch.
I think he taught Denzel the screamer for that film.
For, yeah, as a matter of fact, there's a funny
The Book of
story.
Eli, yeah.
I get a phone call here when it was in production. I get a phone call, and it's the Inosanto Academy. So I pick up the phone, and it's Dan Inosanto. He goes, Dwight, you'll never guess who's at my school. I go, no, Seafood, there's always a lot of people at your school. He goes, he's famous. We're training him double stick and sword and dagger for his new movie. He's famous. I go, I have no idea. He goes, he's got the same initials as you. I go, DW? He goes, yeah. I go, Denzel? He goes, yeah. Right? So I said to him, I go, well, you let Denzel Washington know that he is not your first DW student. I am. All right. So yeah, so Jeff is known for that. Then Chad Stahelski came along. Um, Chad was first stunt double for Keanu Reeves. Keanu moved him and some of the other guys to Australia for 2 years because they filmed. But this is my understanding. You'll probably know better because you're in the industry. They filmed the Matrix trilogy back to back, right, in Australia. So that was where Chad, he didn't get his start there, but that was his big break.
I think he got his start, unfortunately, because Brandon died.
Yes.
And he doubled Brandon in the
He body doubled
Yeah.
Brandon to finish up
Who was his training partner at the Inosanto Academy.
Yep.
So you make it from Barbados to the Inosanto Academy. What was it like to walk in those doors for the first time?
Well, so I didn't, my first trip to see him was not to his school. It was to University of California campus, the Irvine campus, right? And that was for a seminar. It was a thing called the California Martial Arts Academy. So it was, I spent a week with Inosanto and I spent a week with Francis Fong in Wing Chun.
What year was this? That's incredible.
This was 1983.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. Now, Francis Fong appears.
Nobody knew him. Nobody knew him back then, did they?
No, not well. Some people did, but yeah, but not that many people. Francis Fong appears for the same amount of time that Dan Inosanto appears in Big Trouble in Little China in Sharky's Machine.
Really, Burt Reynolds?
Yes.
Sharky's.
Yes.
Francis Fong is in Sharky's Machine. Now I got to go back and watch all this.
Now you got to go. Yeah, right. Because Sifu Francis's top student, Lun Singh, at the time, I think his dad, Lun's dad, was the set doctor. And somebody fell ill or something, and they needed a replacement. So if you know what and when to look for it, you can see.
He had to look like a baby.
Yeah, you can see where Francis Fong comes in, right, to replace the guy, because they kept some of the original footage with the original stunt guy. But then you see Francis Fong come in and do like maybe one technique, and then that's it.
That's incredible.
But Inosanto, and I think Sharky's Machine is like a 1982 production or something.
It's full on height of Burt Reynolds fame.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So that had to be early 80s.
Isn't this incredible? Okay. So I met Dan Inosanto and Francis Fong in 1983. My last seminar with the two of them was 3 weeks ago. Yeah. In 2024. I've been seeking the knowledge from the two of them for over 4 decades.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's so much fun. It's there's no other way to live.
That is incredible.
Yeah, there's no other way to live.
That is a good life, absolutely. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think, there is the thing about if you do what you love, you never work a day or what have you, then there's the other thing about do what you love and the money will come and what have you. And none of that is 100% true, right? Because you still got to be good, at what you do. So you still have to work hard and you work smart. You learn to work hard and work smart, and you learn to be good at what you do. It's just not doing it. No, you got to develop some kind of knowledge, some kind of ability, some kind of skill, some kind of understanding. And then, we're talking about one of the most nebulous, I guess I could use the word, martial art approaches that there is, Bruce Lee's Jeet Kune-Do. Not at all a fixed system as other systems are, which is a thing that can get us in trouble a lot.
Yeah.
Because it's Bruce Lee, man.
Well, what do you feel about the back and forth between the JKD Concepts guys and the Junfan guys? Do you consider yourself more of a Concepts?
No. my teacher is credited with coining the term Jeet Kune-Do concepts, but I have perhaps a different understanding of why he did that than what is portrayed out there or even purloined out there. So there are people who think that Jeet Kune-Do concepts is Inosanto's version of Jeet Kune-Do. That's ridiculous. All right. It was an attempt on his part to be able to share aspects of Jeet Kune-Do in as non-commercial a way as possible while being commercial. That was the problem. So the idea was, look,
I'm
Jeet
selling a
Kune-Do,
product, but I don't want to.
it's like Jeet Kune-Do is a process and not a product. The process requires it almost has this built-in limitation in that it's such an individual experiential thing. So Bruce Lee with 6 guys in front of him, he can monitor to a certain degree. He can adapt what's being taught to suit the individual or what have you. Dan Inosanto started to in 1979, he started to get requests to do seminars. So there's this one famous seminar in England that had 100 people at it.
Oh.
100 people, that's a lot of people to try to have this personalized experience of Jeet Kune-Do.
It's impossible.
So yeah, so the idea behind Jeet Kune-Do concepts was to be able to show people the essence of the art, the guiding principles in a seminar format. And then hopefully they take it back home and they work on it in the more intimate setting. So is it Jeet Kune-Do you're teaching? No. What I'm trying to do is to share the concepts of Jeet Kune-Do with these people. So then it's like, well, what do you call that approach? Well, I call it Jeet Kune-Do concepts. You see, so it's just like Bruce Lee. When Bruce Lee started teaching, again, this is my understanding, there was no name for his style. When things became more formal and went from outdoors in car parks or in parks themselves, parking garages or what have you, the name given to the 4-wall establishments was the Junfan Gung Fu Institute, which essentially translates to the place where Li Junfan teaches martial art. So that name came up in Seattle. He moved to Oakland. The name went with him. He moved to LA. The name went with him. And so then it's like, okay, well, we could call what we do the Junfan method of Gung Fu, Junfan Gung Fu. Okay. According to my records, late 66, early 67, the name Jeet Kune-Do occurs to him for whatever reason, right?
Yeah.
So now it's like, what's the name for what we do? Jeet Kune-Do. My question to everyone is, on the day that the name Jeet Kune-Do came into usage, was what he was doing the day before as Junfan Gung Fu drastically different from what is now Jeet Kune-Do?
No.
No. So there is no separation. It's an evolution. It's a natural evolution. You see? Now, Bruce Lee had ideas for Jeet Kune-Do in terms of, we don't want to spread it around and have Jeet Kune-Do be the style of Kato, and we open up a chain of Kato Gung Fu schools, to capitalize on the fame from the one season of
Although
what have you.
that would be great. Everybody gets a mask, like in Kill Bill. Yeah, you
Yeah,
train at this place. Oh, that would be,
yeah, right. Wouldn't
that's
that
a
be
million
something?
dollar idea, man.
Yes. And he had the opportunity and he thought, no, that's not the way to promote it. Inosanto, in the wake of Bruce Lee's untimely departure, he has been approached by people also. And he has refused, steadfastly refused. In fact, Inosanto went to way to the other end, right? Which is, I'm gonna I like to study. I'm speaking for Dan Inosanto now. I like to study as many martial art methods as I can because I'm fascinated by how different cultures from different parts of the world, when you drill down and drill down and drill down, it becomes like this one thing because it's humanity
Yeah,
that we're dealing with.
it all starts to look the same.
And you start to see the commonalities,
Mhm.
and you develop the ability to identify the connecting thread. So what you're doing is training, which is why my school is called Unified Martial Art Academy, because unified is not the same as united. United is a bunch of people coming together for a common cause, right? But they're joined together, but they're still separate. Unified means to become one. So you are your art. Your art is your life. Your life is your art. That's unification. It's a completely different thing from unity. So for me, that's one of the messages of Jeet Kune-Do. Ultimately, Jeet Kune-Do is not something that you do. It's not something that you practice. It's not lessons that you take. Ultimately, Jeet Kune-Do is what you become. So when you hear Bruce Lee say to Pierre Berton, everything that I have achieved, everything that I have become has been produced through martial art, is because of martial art. That's what he's talking about. He's talking about unification. And I have no idea how we got on this topic.
It was good. It's good though. It's good though. But it's very profound what you said, the Jeet Kune-Do, which I am a practitioner of myself, in the Paul Vunak lineage. And you said it's not a product, it's a process.
Yes.
And that process really never finishes.
No, it can't. Because when there's a story about Bruce Lee saying, "Don't call me master." Something like this. I'm paraphrasing. Don't call me master. Maybe when you put the final nail in the coffin, take a look at what I've done, what I've achieved. Then maybe call me master, but not while I'm alive, right?
Yeah.
Because Bruce Lee was quite aware of the fact that life is constantly evolving. Okay, nothing's the same. None of us or what we were. You know, some people would even be so drastic as to say we're not even who we were yesterday. And so look, because of recent adventures that I've taken, what have you, I realized that it is difficult, Derrick, for some people to understand this idea of Jeet Kune-Do, that it's not fixed in its appearance, in its conclusions, in its practice. No, the thing about the Jeet Kune-Do philosophy is that if you've been doing things one way for a long time, and then you come across something that enhances what you've been doing for that long time, the honesty factor in Jeet Kune-Do requires you to investigate it. You don't go, oh, well, yeah, okay, that's their way, but my way is this. When you're looking at them, you're going, God damn, their way is pretty sweet.
Yeah. That's
There's
pretty slick.
something that I can gain from this.
Mm-hmm.
That's the Jeet Kune-Do approach. So for some people, that might seem like, well, that's fairly waffling. You know, it's like, you know, are you this, or are you that, right? I say, there's another story about Bruce Lee. They go, Bruce Lee, what's the difference, Bruce, between hard style kung fu and soft style kung fu? And Bruce Lee says, it's not two. Okay, which foot is more important when you pedal a bicycle? The one that pushes down or the one that releases?
They're both equally as
You
important.
need them both.
Yeah.
Right. So so that's an example, let's say, of the Chinese philosophy of yin yang. Okay, and Bruce Lee was a philosophy major, and so that idea of not opposites, but the two halves of the complete whole.
Mhm.
That type of philosophy permeates, runs through the veins of Jeet Kune-Do. So unfortunately, for somebody like me, you go, okay, well, what does that mean in Jeet Kune-Do? Well, here's an example. It means that kicking is not prioritized over punching. It means that empty hands is not prioritized over weaponry. It means that you're constantly in search for balance. And here's what you know. Sometimes you need a little bit more of this than of that, depending on the situation. If you only have one way to deal with everything, you know, the whole what is it? The thing about everything looks like a nail when you have a hammer or something, right? That type of thing. And this is why I said this recently. The best title for any book on Jeet Kune-Do is Dan Inosanto, and of course I'm biased, is Dan Inosanto's book, The Art and Philosophy, because it is those things. It is both an art and a philosophy. There is a physical aspect to it. There's a philosophical aspect to it. There's the nebulous aspect to it. There's the tangible aspect. And that's hard for some people to grasp.
Well, people want a curriculum.
Yeah.
You know, I here's the white belt to orange belt curriculum. Here's the orange belt to yellow belt.
Yeah.
Boop, boop, boop. And I think there's a lot of good things for that. I was talking to one of my students the other day. It's good to be able to monitor your progression, you know, and there's nothing wrong with being rewarded for your hard work.
Yes.
But you don't want to become a quote unquote slave to the page and what's written in a curriculum as well.
Right. But what if I run a school and you start at white belt, and the guy comes to me and he's a black belt in another system.
Mm-hmm.
He's been training for 15 years in another system, right? Well, in my system, he has to start at white belt.
Mm-hmm.
Now, am I going to treat him exactly the same way I treat every other white belt in my school?
No.
That'd be ridiculous.
No, yeah.
The Jeet Kune-Do philosophy has that kind of flexibility in it. Okay, I can't make him a black belt in my system, right? Because he came to me as a black belt or whatever. But I have to be able to make modifications in some way, because this guy is not a ranked beginner. You see? But in a fixed system, you might not have that kind of flexibility.
No, yeah.
You know? Well, JKD seeks to go around all those kinds of obstacles and barriers and what have you, you know?
And so let's get back to your journey a little bit. So you trained with Inosanto at this seminar, and then did you eventually graduate to go to train at his academy?
Yeah. Yeah. I would travel out. So for 3 years, I traveled back and forth between Barbados and LA. And then the idea and the ability to move to the States was presented. And so I looked into the feasibility of moving to the West Coast. But turned out I would not have been able at my job, I would not have gotten a shift that allowed me to train at the Inosanto Academy. So I opted for the next best thing, which was to move to Miami, a town with which I had fallen in love and in which I was extremely comfortable. And fortunately for me, I had ample opportunity to get out to LA essentially whenever I wanted to. So I became relatively a fixture at the Inosanto Academy, even though I was not a California boy.
A lot of flying.
Yeah, I did a lot of, I still do a lot of flying. Ron Reagan and I think we will be able to say on December 31st that we hit 12 training sessions for the year.
With Inosanto?
Uh,
Or just
let's
different
see. No, mostly with him. A number of them with my favorite Jeet Kune-Do senior, Cass Magda. If you probably never heard of him.
Have not. Tell me.
Yeah. Oh, well, see, because you're a movie guy, right? Okay. So Cass worked with Roger, is it Corman? Is it Roger Corman?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Passed away recently.
Yeah. So Cass worked with him. Cass worked with Gary Daniels.
Yeah,
I think it is.
yeah.
Is it Gary Daniels?
From
Yeah.
the 90s, he was a 90s action star.
Yeah. Cass worked with him in Hawk's Vengeance.
I'm a Gary Daniels
Cass,
fan. I like Gary Daniels.
yeah, he what was the other one that he worked on? Shoot, no, I can't remember. Oh man. Anyhow, yeah, a lot of I was gonna say a lot of us. But depending on the era of the time that you were within Asano, many of the guys, right, got into the movie stuff. You know, even Burton Richardson. But then a few of them, like Chad, like Jeff, stayed in it, right? Mike Mukatis, for example, which is oh gosh, man, yeah. So there was a time when you go to the Inosanto Academy, you go to the Thursday morning class, right? And almost everybody in that class, right, has a Hollywood aspect. Ron Balicki, for example, you know Ron, right?
Yeah.
And his wife Diana Lee Inosanto, right? They were people that would be in that class. Lucy Liu trained at the Inosanto Academy at some point.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, right. You know, I mean, so the man, the Hollywood thing, gosh damn.
Now, even you've got some IMDb credits I saw.
Yeah, I have a few.
Tell it to he's burying the lead, everybody. It looks like from my research, it looked like you had a small part in Only the Strong. Is this correct?
Yes. Yeah.
That's huge, man.
I fought Mark Dacascos in Only the Strong. I filmed one night for about 3 hours for a scene that lasted 2 seconds.
But how did all that come? How did you get the role? How did all that happen?
Oh, those guys were brilliant. The filmmakers for Only the Strong, they were brilliant. They came into Miami, opened up the Yellow Pages, right? Because this was 1993, so there was still a Yellow Pages. Opened up the Yellow Pages, and they cold called every martial arts school. And here's the pitch, Derrick. Hey, you want to be in a movie? Who says no? Right? Who says no? So me and a bunch of my students, we go down, and they say to us, well, what can you guys do? Well, hell, man, we're Jeet Kune-Do. What do you want us to do? You know what I mean? So no rehearsal, no practice demo, nothing. It's like, what do you want us to do? Right? The next time when we get the call back, when they decide which of us they're going to keep, we get the call back. So we go down to the hotel, right? And we're waiting around like everybody else. Actually, we didn't really wait. We showed up, and the guy burst out from the office And he goes, we need you guys in here right now. So we didn't have to wait like everybody else. We just, right? Okay. So we get, there was about, they chose, let's see, I think they chose about 3 of us, right? 4 of us, actually. So now it's like, okay, well, we're going to do this and we're going to do that. We're going to do the next. So I call Sifu Inosanto. I go, okay, so we're going to be doing this movie with Mark Dacascos, so what do I do? He goes, well, Dwight, just, just be nice to everybody on the set because you never know what can happen and whatever. No, I go, okay. So then I called Burt Richardson, right? Because he had been doing stuff at the time. And Burt says, well, there's going to be a lot of downtime. So take your equipment bag, right? And train while you're on the set. So we did that. I happened to be playing with the bullwhip at the time, right? And so we do that. Only the Strongest is a capoeira movie.
Yes.
Okay. And so they needed someone to do what they call makulele, right? Which is the machete, the double machete thing in capoeira.
No, that's perfect.
Right. Well, yeah. See, and it just so happened that the movement of the Jenga, right? Like they showed it to me.
It coincides with the footwork of what, yeah.
Hello, right? My brain goes, oh, that's just male retreat, right? So we pick it up like that. So then they're like, well, can you do this? I go, yeah. So we shot that for the evening that we shot the makulele thing. I got upgraded from extra to featured extra.
For people that don't know, that means more money. Featured extra,
right?
That's a big deal.
And I had to go into the makeup trailer.
How you like me now? It's a world of difference with featured extra, right? Yeah.
Okay. And I ate dinner at the little tent with the better food, not the big tent, right?
Not with the huddled masses.
Right. So now we're doing this the big fight scene. Okay. And Frank Dukes says to me, he goes, Dwight.
Oh, I totally forgot he was on that set. Oh, I gotta
ask you about Frank Dukes. So go ahead. Frank was Frank was probably fight choreographer, and Artie Molesky was stunt coordinator. I'm pretty sure, right? They shared duties. And so Frank Dukes says to me, he goes, Dwight, you want to make more money? I go, yeah. He goes, okay, let Mark kick you in the head, fall down. So I went.
Because now you're a stunt performer? Is that what he's saying?
Now I'm a stunt performer. Okay. I went from $75. I went from $6.50 an hour, right? To, I think it was like $450.
Oh, yeah.
Because I got kicked in the head. Right? And, but this is the best part for me. In filming that scene, right? They go, okay, so don't worry about making contact with the blades. We'll do all that in the sound room in post-production. Okay, so action. So Mark and I start moving. They go, cut, cut, cut. They go, Dwight. I go, what? They go, you keep attacking all the open spots on Mark. I'm like, what? I go,
that's what I'm trying to do.
They go, no, you can't do that, right? I go, okay, all right. So we start shooting again. And then this was so cool, Derrick. They cut and they're okay. Now, here's what we want you to do. Stand behind the cameraman. So this is the Steadicam operator. Stand behind him with your hands on his hips. Look over his shoulder because we're going to shoot Mark, right? Mark will play with his blade to the camera and move the cameraman wherever Mark moves. Right? And then they reversed it and Mark did it for me. Right? And I was like, I get it. I see why Jeff Imada and those guys fell in love with this nonsense
Yeah.
because it is some cool shit, man. It
Yeah.
is cool. There is so much to it. And the thing is, when
It's magic.
yeah,
Yeah.
when Mark came on the set, you know, and everybody gets introduced to him and what have you. And for the most part, everybody could just go, "Oh, Mark, good to meet you," whatever, whatever. Comes to me. I go, "You know, Mark, you and I almost met 8 years ago." He goes, "Really?" I go, "Yeah." I go, "Remember when you were supposed to go to Trinidad to do the show for G. Anthony Joseph?" He goes, "Yeah." I go, but you got the gig for Universal Studios or whatever." He goes, "Yeah." I go, "And remember Dan Inosanto went down for that?" He goes, "Right." I go, "Well, that was when I was still living in Barbados. And as an Inosanto student," he goes, "You're a Dan Inosanto student?" I go, "Yeah, for 8 years now." That was it. I was in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Every time he came on set, right? Every time he came on set, grab me, we walk off. So all the other guys hated me, which is fine. Because it's not my fault, Derrick. It's not my fault that I'm a Dan Inosanto student. You know what I mean?
And
Right?
what are the other films you were in?
So okay, so now this is the other one. You'll get a kick out of this. In this one, it lasted one season, and my costume was a black hat and an all black outfit, just like Kato,
Really?
all black, and lasted one season.
Was it was it Masters that no?
No. Did you know that there was an attempt to reboot the Charlie's Angels TV show? Not the movies, the TV show. Did you know that?
Was it like a syndicated thing in the like early 90s?
It was 2013, 2011, 2013.
Oh, really? No, I
Yeah.
don't remember that.
Yeah. I think my episode 7, Royal Angels, might have been the penultimate episode. I don't think they made many more beyond that. It stars Ramon Rodriguez, who is currently Will Trent on ABC, I think.
Yes.
It also starred Minka Kelly. You know Minka Kelly? You know,
familiar.
you don't know her. Alice Walker, I think is her name. Australian girl who is she is a character in what do you call it? Jessica what is it? Jessica Jones,
Okay, yeah, the Marvel thing.
right? Yeah.
Okay.
And then it also starred Annie Elones. I always mess up her last name. But if you look up the seasons for Person of Interest, I think
Okay.
she came in as a regular in season 2, I think.
Okay. And what they
Right.
have you doing on Charlie's Angels?
I was stunt
Bosley.
intruder. I was stunt intruder number 2.
And they gave you a little action scene, a little fight scene.
I was stunt intruder number 2. Yeah. So our first scene was exterior. So it's me and stunt intruder number 1 breaching the property. So we're coming up, and the security cameras pick us up. Now that was the thing, Derrick, because this is how they filmed it. A guy up on a ladder with a DSLR camera.
Oh yeah.
I'm like.
What year you said this was like? Oh yeah, that's right when the DSLR revolution
Yeah,
was
this
happening.
I think I
That was
want to
new
say
technology.
I want to say it was 2013.
Probably had a Canon
Right?
5D Mark
Yeah.
I at that time. Yeah.
And I'm like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah,
Right?
you're completely mobile. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah.
Yep. So that was it. So we did that. Let's say at 8 o'clock in the morning. Okay? Because we had to be at base camp at 6 a.m. And then we took transportation up to the set. And so let's say we do that at 8 o'clock in the morning. Then it was sit around,
Yep. Hurry up and wait.
hurry up and wait until about 3 p.m. You know, right? Actually, there's another part to the story. So base camp was down south in where we call Pinecrest, but the studios, this was Sony Studios, was in what we call now Midtown or Wynwood. And so I went over there on one Saturday to meet the fight coordinator and the stunt coordinator. Turned out the stunt coordinator was the same Artie Molesky that I had worked with in 1993, right? And the fight coordinator was a fellow martial artist who I believe got his start in Only the Strong, stayed in it, and for a time was one of the premier fight coordinators because he stayed in the Hispanic market here in Miami, up in Hialeah, right? This guy was I used to train him because he was the defensive tactics instructor for the Hialeah Police Department. Right. And so I used to train him in Paul Vunak stuff.
Rat assault tactics.
Yeah, because I met Vunak in 83 as well. Did a private lesson with him before we came back home. And then in 1984, when I went back to the CMAA camp, I trained with Vunak and Inosanto for the 2 weeks that I was there.
Good training.
Yeah. And then I was with Paul for a long time. I brought Paul to Miami to do seminars a couple of times. You know, so I've known Paul from day one.
Well, what was Frank Dukes like? Are the rumors true or false that he's how he is?
I had no issues whatsoever with him. None. You know, but I mean,
Was he actually coordinating? Was he giving advice on technique and how the scene should be arranged and blocked? And
that you know what? I don't think so. But he was definitely involved in the choreography for sure, right? For sure. But Artie as the stunt coordinator, because you know, I can remember some stuff that we were filming where like the professional stunt guys showed up to do their thing.
Yeah.
You know, they're like in that when Mark finishes with the blades with me, we kind of force him back to the water's edge, and then a guy comes out of the water and clubs him. That guy was one of Artie Molesky's top guys that came on the set. So he was like a pro, right? And you know, I can tell you, I've seen him in Miami Vice, in Bad Boys, right? That type of stuff. So that guy was a pro, right? So I didn't have that much interactions with Frank Dukes, but I didn't have any issues with him.
Still pretty amazing. You on your resume. I've worked with Frank Dukes. It's kind of legendary just to be able to say that, right? It's pretty great. Like I worked with Frank Dukes.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. In Charlie's Angels, again, right? People have no idea, right? So we go to rehearsals that Saturday. Now, when Ramon Rodriguez came into town, he said to them, "Find me the local Krav Maga expert." So that guy was on set at rehearsals. Now I know my place. Okay. I got a call to come do some stunt work. I know my place. So I'm just sitting back and watching them do their thing. And they're having a hard time. Okay. And finally I go, "What if we did this?" "Oh, well, show me that again." "Well, you know, you could this and this." "Oh, Dwight, I love that." Boom. So my scene with Ramon Rodriguez is my choreography,
Nice.
right? And I borrowed it from all my colleagues who Inosanto students like Rick Fay and Don Garin, guys who after 9/11, some Frank Cucci, for example, right? Those guys, some of them segued into working with the government and the air marshal stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you see my choreography, it ends up with Ramon putting me in an arm lock and shooting stunt intruder #1 over my shoulder. Right? It was pretty slick.
Welcome to the movies, everybody.
It was pretty slick. And that was, if I remember correctly, Derrick, that was a $3,500 day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You didn't
Yeah.
want to keep doing it?
Right? No, because I don't have that kind of hustle. You know, Jeff Imada used to tell me about you're on set for this, and during the break, you run off, right? To either to film on another set or to make yourself seen or whatever.
Audition
You know,
somewhere.
yeah, right. But you got to be careful, because if these guys hear that you're doing that, then you might get fired from this one and whatever. And I was like, I'm a little island boy, right? I'm not an American. I don't have, you know, I'm not like a gregarious West Coast guy or gregarious East Coast New Yorker or whatever. I don't have that kind of hustle. But if it comes to me, I'll do the best job that I can.
Yeah.
You know, right? But so yeah, so we did that. I had my own trailer, Stunt Intruder #2 trailer.
That's nice.
Derrick, oh man, it was
People
so
don't
cool.
know, man. Getting your own trailer is a big deal.
Oh God.
Yeah.
It was so cool, right? So yeah, so that was 2013. And then 2 years ago, 1 year ago, I can't remember. Ron Balicki calls me. He goes, I need someone of your ethnicity and your skill level. I go, what are we doing? He goes, we're doing a movie down in Nevis. I go, what? He goes, yep, we're doing a movie with Michael Jai White. I'm like, I'm in. So we flew down to St. Kitts and then took the ferry over to Nevis and shot The Island with Michael Jai White.
Yeah, that's trying to. Another one of my friends was in that. We probably know him. He has a school in Washington.
Oh, that's Victor Young.
Victor Young. I was trying to remember his last
Shaolin
name.
Mixed Martial Arts.
Shaolin Mixed Martial Art and is Olympia?
Yeah. Bremerton.
He's in Bremerton. Okay, yeah,
Mhm.
Washington. Yeah, he, excuse me. He's a CSW guy, and I had him on. He was telling stories about being on the set with Michael Jai White and whatnot.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yep. Vic and I spent
You guys got to think of me
time together.
Next time you need a big dude with a beard, drop my name in the bucket or something. You know.
Oh man. Oh man. I tell you, now that working on the island was a trip, because when you see my scene, we never rehearsed it. And Michael Jai White literally throws me over his shoulder, feet in the air, into a table.
He's a big dude, huh?
Yeah. Right? We never rehearsed it. And we pulled it off in 2 takes.
Prop
now,
table.
the thing is, right? That this is the thing, right? So they told me that the table was, prop table would collapse and what have you.
Mm-hmm.
What they didn't tell me was that in the center of the table was a PVC pipe. So yeah, the edges will break. But if you don't land correctly, right, forget the pattern and whatever. Okay? So in take #1, our distance was off a little bit. And so I hit the edge of the table so it didn't break. Right. So then we're like, okay, we got to do it again. And somehow the body said, okay, Dwight, here you go. Now open up the legs and let the legs come down on either side of that PVC pipe. Right? Yep.
And it finally
It
broke.
was, yeah, it was perfect. It was perfect. It was fun. It was so much fun. I was watching Fall Guy the other day, and you know, every time he does something, they go, "Give me the thumbs up." And I remember I crash right into the table, and then they're like, "Thumbs up."
You're laying on the ground. Thumbs up. Sure.
Right? But that was a hell of a thing, man. We filmed 12 hours Saturday and Sunday, 12 hours each, 6 p.m. to 6 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, man, again, if people don't know, it's fun, but it's not easy work
Yeah. No.
at all.
It's long,
At all.
grueling hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is magic, but man, to pull it off, it's hard work.
It really, really is.
So tell me what's next for you in your journey in martial arts.
Well, you know, I'm semi-retired, so I'm just gonna keep teaching. Probably next year venture into the online instruction world, you know, because there's a lot of people out there that are not getting the highest level JKD instruction that they can, right? Because you know, it's like the people who are more comfortable on the social media thing are not necessarily the most talented, right? They're a younger generation, and so they have a facility with the social media, but they're a younger generation that doesn't have the in-depth training that the old farts have. So I'm trying to bridge the gap between those two. Right. So I'd say that that's probably the next, it's not necessarily a reinvention of myself or whatever. That's probably, but the next pathway, right, in the adventure. It's probably the next path that I'll go down in the beginning, in the new year. If anybody wants someone of my ethnicity and my skill level, right, just don't ask me to do an over the shoulder legs in the air
He'll do it.
throw.
He says he won't do it. He'll do it. He says he won't do it. He'll get on set. He'll do it.
Right. Yeah. You know, if Jeff Amata calls and goes, "Hey, Dwight, I need somebody to come do a stick and dagger scene." Jeff, I'm there. Right. You know, I love flying. I love being on an airplane. You know, a lot of people like getting to their destination. I actually enjoy the flying thing.
Yeah.
Right. You know, so
I just don't enjoy the airport thing.
I don't enjoy the airport thing when things go wrong and I know how to fix them, but I can't do anything about it. Yeah. You know, but like so on our last flight, where were we going? We were going to Atlanta, right? We're going to Atlanta. There's 4 of us flying up to Atlanta, and so we're sitting in the back in the exit row. Okay, so the flight attendant comes up to do the demonstration, the safety demonstration or what have you. So she goes to put her stuff on the ground, and I stop her, and I go, "No, I'll hold them for you." She's like, "You sure?" I go, "Yeah." Right? Okay, so she starts the demo. I pull out the safety brochure from in front of my seat. I hand it to her. She finishes with that. I take it. I give her the mask.
You know everything.
She finishes with that. I take the mask. I give her the vest, the life vest. Right? Oh no, sorry, I missed the seatbelt. Seatbelt first. Seatbelt first, right? mask, life vest. Okay. And then she's like, thank you so much. Right. I go, no worries. She goes, how do you know all that stuff? I used to work for Eastern Airlines. She goes, oh my God, let me touch you. That was vintage. That was the real airline era.
The classic days.
Yep. So yeah.
So let me ask you this. What's the biggest lesson you've learned through the martial arts? Something you'd like to pass down to younger generation?
To paraphrase Bruce Lee, balance is when you run like hell to catch it. Right? See, that's the big thing in life. Okay. You have to constantly seek that balance. No matter what happens, because life is always going to throw things at you that will off balance you. So that's it. That's one of your goals. I was telling my friend G. Anthony the other day, right, that I think it was him. One of the things that attracted me to Bruce Lee and to Bruce Lee's philosophy was the saying that Jeet Kune-Do is the search for truth in martial art combat. When you get into Jeet Kune-Do, for me, that extended into Jeet Kune-Do as a philosophy being the search for truth in all the things in which you are interested. All the things that have meaning to and for you. Truth. That's the search. And so for me, part of my journey, that search for truth is, oh yeah, balance, man. Maintaining balance between all things, spiritual, physical, right? Because look at it, there's always going to be difference of opinion. Okay. And something is going to make more sense to you than this other thing. But that doesn't mean that because you're not on this side of the fence, that the people on that side of the fence are necessarily wrong or deluded or what have you. The thing to do is to seek to understand, why do they look at it this way? And can you get to a level, right, of understanding, oh, and then when that happens, you can just let it all go. That's it.
Be at peace.
Yeah.
Where can people connect with you currently?
So on Facebook and the YouTube, twice a week, so like later today, I'll do my talk to the camera podcast, the I Love Jeet Kune-Do broadcast. So you can find it on Facebook, Dwight D Woods, or on its own dedicated YouTube channel, the I Love Jeet Kune-Do broadcast. On Fridays, I do an interview just like this, and that is called the Jeet Kune-Do Dialogues. And again, we live stream on Facebook at Dwight D Woods and on the YouTube, the Jeet Kune-Do Dialogues channel. If I'm on Facebook as Dwight D Woods, I'm on Instagram as Dwight D Woods also. Right. I'm on Twitter too, but there's no D. It's just Dwight Woods. And email is jkdrebel@gmail.com.
Well, there you have it, everybody. Dwight, I want to thank you for your time. I had a wonderful conversation, learned a lot about the movies, what movies I need to go back and watch.
Yeah.
And if you're ever in the Houston area, please stop by my gym, come train. If I'm ever in Miami, I'd love to train with you a little bit.
Oh, for sure, man. For sure.
All right. Thank you for coming on.
All right, Derrick, it was a pleasure.
And that's a wrap on yet another episode of FURYCAST. Want to give a big shout out to Sifu Dwight D Woods, all the way from Miami, Florida. If you want to connect with him for any reason, train with him, maybe check out his podcast on YouTube. His links are in the description. You can also follow my new graphic novel, The Gentleman's Guild. Yes, I'm making a graphic novel. It's called The Gentleman's Guild with artist E. by Canales. You can sign up for the mailing list now. The link for that is also in the description. And don't forget to watch Lion Killer, my debut feature film. That's right, I made a movie. It's called Lion Killer. It stars Regina Ting-Chen, who's currently on season 4 of Stranger Things. You can watch it at Amazon Prime, Tubi TV, Freevee, the Roku channel. There's even a full Spanish dub. And don't forget to like this video. Help me boost the algorithm by commenting down below. You can share this video on your social media. You can subscribe, and yes, even smash that bell so you can be notified every time I drop a new FURYCAST video. This is Derrick Fury. Until next time, peace.